Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here. Well, as many of you are already well aware, censorship is intensifying all across the country against conservatives, Christians, and libertarians. Well, Google, who also has a monopoly over the entire internet, has now decided to play God and be an authoritarian rule over that internet, and they are banning ads from conservative websites. This is above and beyond. But the good news is many of our politicians are making a bold stance against Google. So did Google just write their company death certificate? But before I get into that, just a quick break. Friends, I'm sure that I don't have to tell you that now is the time to get emergency food supply. In fact, this crisis is far from over, and every day that goes on, another domino falls. Before long, food shortages will be a nightmare reality in your grocery stores. In fact, there are already long lines of people waiting at the food banks for food on a daily basis. And I don't even like to think about it. But I do believe in preparing for it. Preparing is the smart and right thing to do, especially in today's environment. And this is why I personally use My Patriot-Supply at preparewithlisa.com. They've not only served millions of Americans just like me, but they've also been around for about 12 years. I personally trust them, and you can too. And right now, you can get $100 off their 4-week food supply kit. Just go to preparewithlisa.com. And right now, you'll see that this offer is too good to pass up, especially with what's happening right now. Start building your emergency food supply kit today and get 4 weeks of breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, and snacks for less than $3 a meal. These are very delicious, nutritious foods, and they include everything from long grain rice to potato soup to even pancakes. You don't have to allow a food shortage to harm you or your loved ones. Now is the time to get food storage for your family and save $100 on that 4-week food supply kit. So check it out at preparewithlisa.com. Again, that's preparewithlisa.com. All right, back to the broadcast. All right, so let's just dive right in so you can see exactly what Google has done and how they are attacking a political viewpoint under the guise of racism. Take a look at this article here on The Verge, and it's titled, Google Ads is Banning the Federalist and Zero Hedge, two conservative sites, by the way, for racist content. The only problem is they didn't publish anything that had any racism in it whatsoever. But moving on, here's the article on Zero Hedge if you want to take a look where they talk about it. Google demonetizes Zero Hedge, and it also talks about the Federalist, which hasn't been demonetized yet, by the way. They've been given so many days to quote unquote fix the problem, right? But what is it that actually happened? How did they break the Google law book? By the way, Google has a monopoly and should not be allowed to do this. And they're really not. They're going against Section 203, but I'm going ahead. Here we are on NBCnews.com, and this is where it all fits together. Google bans website Zero Hedge from its ad platform over comments on protested articles. Okay, it goes on a little further to kind of break it all down. It says, Zero Hedge and the Federalist have become well known in recent years for publishing far-right articles on a variety of subjects. Now, that far-right portion there is keyword for conservative. It just means they're conservatives. That is how the mainstream media is twisting it. But it goes on. On the recent protests, Zero Hedge had the audacity to publish an article claiming that the protests were fake. And they didn't necessarily say they were fake, by the way. They said they were being played, used, and organized, right? Wow, the Federalist published an article claiming that the media was lying about looting and violence during the protests, which were both included in a research sent to Google. Well, Federalists got in trouble because they were talking against the mainstream media saying we were lying. When did that become an offense to take ads off on Google? I mean, neither of them should be an offense, but I digress. You see, a little later, Google backtracked and said, in regards to the Federalists, we're okay with what happened with Zero Hedge, but on the Federalists, we're going to change it. Instead of being upset that they published an article saying the media was lying, which they do and are, about the looting and violence of the protests, instead, we're going to say, well, it's because of Federalist, the comments section, which has nothing to do with the Federalist. The Federalist didn't post those comments, but because there was some bad things in the comment section, we're going to give you 3 days to remove those comments or we're removing your ads. But see, it gets more interesting because what they said here is it was research sent to Google. Who sent the research? NBC. Here we are. They admitted it and new from NBC VC, the Verification Center. Thanks to them working with CCD Hate, Center for Countering Digital Hate, the CCD has every conservative website listed as hate, by the way, for their hard work and collaboration. In other words, NBC went and told Google, get them off air and take away their ads because there's something bad in their sites. They're speaking bad about us. I mean, really? I guess they just don't want the competition due for them, but not for others, right? This is in the insanity of what's happening. And here's this CCDH group, right? Who are they? Well, Digital Hate Watchdog that got Zero Hedge banned from AdSense releases an entire blacklist of sites that they plan on attacking next. And who is this blacklist of sites that they plan on attacking? Well, they give you a list of all 10 of them because there's 10 total. And here they are, right? It says, Stop Funding Fake News. A project by CCDH has put 10 US-based websites, including Zero Hedge, which got banned by Google, right, from this organization in conjunction with NBC, on a blacklist for posting racist articles on the protests, which wasn't even about that. But the others include, here's the 10 they want: America Greatness, Moon Battery, American Thinker, Big League Politics, World Net Daily, The Washington Standard, Gateway Pundit, and Breitbart. And of course, the Federalist was on the list too. Why is it that all of those just so happen to be conservative and Christian websites? This is attacking a political view. Google, the monopoly over the internet company, is saying conservative Christian voices are not allowed. They've already completely wiped. If you put in YouTube, Lisa Haven in the search engine and you click, well, I'm on DuckDuckGo. If you go to Google and you put Lisa Haven YouTube in there, they've already removed my channel from the top of the feed. See, this is Dallas. This is Mike Davison. None of them are me. And then if you look at this YouTube Lisa Haven site, click on it. This is Dishonet Lupier. This is somebody else's channel. This is not my channel. What have they done? They've removed me from the new feed. This is somebody else's channel, somebody else's. I've got a big Facebook following. I've got Twitter. I've got all these sites, and none of them are up there. Why? Because we're on a Google search engine. They're already wiping us all out, okay? But thankfully, some of our congressmen are starting to fight back. Here we are. Josh Hawley. Wait. You want to treat the Federalist comment section, which they didn't curate, as their speech, but simultaneously say that the content that you directly host and modified is not your speech under Section 203. Wow. This is getting really interesting. And I have to give him a big fat clap for that one, right? Because he actually calls out the hypocrisy of the monopoly Google and saying, oh, it's okay for you to allow comments everywhere under the sun, but if Federal has comments, you're going to somehow remove their ads. How is that fair? He's not the only one. Here's Jim Banks, Republican Jim Banks. Google bans Federalist from its ad platform for writing the media has lied about violence and rioting at largely peaceful protests. It comes after a complaint by NBC News. And again, they backtracked, right, on Federalists and said, oh, well, we're giving them 3 days before we ban the ads. But I digress. It's still the same. That's what they've done. Here's Senator Marsha Blackburn. Google dominates the search business. They dominate the ad business. And now they want to dominate what we are allowed to think. Hell yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Who's next after Federalist and Zero Hedge? They've already told us who's next. Breitbart, Gateway Pundit, American Thinker, and all the list of 10 that you saw. And then it's not going to stop there. They've already swiped YouTuber conservatives and libertarians off the top of the feed, like I just showed you. But here's another. Here, Donald Trump Jr., please start doing something, you guys, right? The GOP Senate needs to wake up and immediately subpoena and haul in the CEO of Google for questioning. Thank you. Google is out of control monopoly. Hey, there's that word. With a left-wing political agenda, which is now obvious and can be proven by what they did to Zero Hedge and the Federalist, engaging in a clear campaign to silence dissent and election interference. Time to step it up, and it is time to step it up. And here we have another one by Donald Trump Jr., a left-wing activist masquerading as an NBC journalist, helped bully Google into pulling ad revenue from the Federalist because they criticized a political movement that they disagreed with. Big tech, and I think this is the key part here, and the mainstream media are working together as leftist radical group to silence us for our political speech and call it racism when there's nothing to do with a do. And this, you guys are going to love. This is a letter, right, from our Senator Ted Cruz right here. And he CC'd William Barr there as well. And it's got other stamps on it and whatnot. But this is a letter saying because of the recent actions of Google, writing it directly to Sundar Pichai, right? The recent actions of Google to demonize a conservative media publisher, the Federalist, he should also include Zero Hedge, but raises serious concern that Google is abusing its monopoly power good, an effort to censor political speech that it disagrees with. They should be treated like our utility companies. Utility companies don't say you're not allowed to have power because I don't like what you say politically. They give power to everyone, right? So should it be with the internet. But he gets in about freedom of speech and how Google worked with the NBC News, the verification unit, in order to work together to oust conservatives, which we've already talked about, but he gets into all those actions in this whole report. And then he says, within 7 days, by June 24th, Google is requested to provide to the subcommittee the following. And he goes on, and I wonder if they're even going to, but he says all communications between Google, NBC News verification unit, and the Federalist, all communications in the past year between Google and the Center for Countering Digital Hate concerning Federalist. Why? Because that is the company that wants to target 10 more agencies just for being conservative, to wipe them off. All internal communications or deliberations in the past year at Google or YouTube concerning the Federalist. And they are also required to answer these questions, which is really good. The thing is, last time Google came forward, they didn't answer jack. Somebody needs to do something. If they don't this time, I'm going to be irate. But anyway, has Google examined the comment sections of any of the progressive organizations listed? And the answer for that is, of course, no, or we don't know, or they'll just say, yeah, of course. Right? With big lies. Will Google apply the same standards to all media organizations or just those that they disagree with? Does Google believe in Section 203 protects the Federalist? Why or why not? Because if it protects Google, why doesn't it protect the Federalist and Zero Hedge and everybody else, right? If any offensive comments appear on YouTube, will Google begin immediately demonetizing its subsidiary like they did with the Federalist? Is Google's preferential treatment to YouTube are on far more favorable terms than those extended to the Federalist, consistent with the Sherman Act? Why or why not? Thank you, Senator Cruz. And I hope he's not a lone wolf in this. But the good news is As many of you know, President Trump signed the executive order attacking a lot of what's going on with the censorship from Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and Google and all of them. And now we are also seeing headway on that. Here we are, zerohedge.com. GOP senators are introducing bill empowering Americans to sue big tech companies, censoring political speech. Good. Good. And now we're finally seeing Section 203 becoming limited with these organizations. So there's a lot going on. And I know I kind of rambled on a little bit, but it's so important. If we lose our freedom of speech, folks, we literally lose everything. I think sometimes we fail to recognize the power of our First Amendment, the power of our Second Amendment, the power of all our amendments. And that's what's critical right now. Anyhow, I love all you guys. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.